So I'm going to start from the basics of how to enable the recruiting. So whenever you get an instance, right, from the SAP or from the client, so basically you won't be having this recruiting drop down in the homepage. Okay, in the Chrome, you won't be able to see the recruiting. So in order to have this, first we need to enable the recruiting. Since I don't have provision access now, but I can tell you how to do that. Okay, so first what we do is we're going to log in into provision company settings. Okay, and if you want to be seen through provisioning, if you have your provisioning, if you want to share, then I can help you with that as well to show you better way. Nevertheless, so what we have to do is once we log into provisioning, there will be company name. Okay, so once you click on that company name, then you'll be having, we have to click on company settings. Okay, so log into provisioning. Second thing, click on company name. It could be development instance or test instance, depends upon what the client has given you initially. Okay, once you click on that company name, you can see the details, and under that you have to click on company settings. Okay.
Yes, I'm following you.
Once I click on company settings, since RCM comes into picture when most of the modules, the first module which will be implemented in SuccessFactors is EC, Employee Central. Okay, so by default, all these things will be enabled by the Employee Central person. Okay, from your end, you just have to make sure that it is enabled. In case if the first implementation is done RCM, in that case, maybe you need to enable it. If not, in beforehand itself, the person would have been already enabled. Okay, so RBP permissions needs to be enabled. You just have to check mark on the required fields. Okay. Yep. Required. Okay, so these things will be enabled by default. RBP will be there initially. If not, you enable it. Then attachment manager, you need to click mark, check mark on that. Then generic objects. Okay. Generic objects come into picture when we are using objects in the recruiting. Location object, division object, department object. Okay.
Okay.
Next, these are some basic things which we need to enable it. This will be the list. Is just you have to follow this guide to enable things. That's all. Okay. Once we do it, you just have to click on enable these things. You just have to be selected. So everything is given here. You just to go and search for it and enable those things. Okay. These are all things what we require to enable. And if we are doing background check, that time we need to go and enable things. Okay, so we just going to follow this list. Okay.
Okay. Yes.
Based on our raw requirement, everything will be here. So we just have to go and enable it. Okay. till here we have to enable everything. Once we do it, and you have to log out and log in into the instance. Okay.
Okay.
Once you log out and then log in, you'll be able to see recruiting here. Okay. Once I click on,
but I need to add the permissions, right? Create the groups and role-based manage. Okay.
Yes. I will come to it. Okay. This whatever you have enabled in the background, that will give enable only to this part to see as a recruiting here.
Without giving access to the user, or
yes, without even access. Inside recruiting, you have the options. In order to see as recruiting here, there is no much action to be recorded. Okay. Once you click on recruiting, you won't be able to see anything here. It will be just a blank page.
Yes.
Okay. It's going to be a totally blank page. You won't be able to see anything. So what you have to do is, first you have to go to RBP. First you have to work on roles.
Manage permission roles and manage permission roles.
Okay. Before you do all this thing, you must be already aware of how to create a super admin, right?
Yes.
So what you have to do is you have to go to provisioning. There will be super admin. If you go to company settings, and once you get inside the company settings, you have to search for super admin. Okay, there you can provide your first name, last name, and then your email ID. Once you click on save, then you'll be receiving an email which has your login credentials for SuccessFactors.
And that the user will have access to manage permission roles.
Okay. So once you have that access, you are a super admin, right? So you need to enable everything related to recruiting. First thing. So what I will do is I will just create an RCM super admin. Okay, so I'm gonna give it as RCM super admin. Okay, since you are a super admin, you need everything, all the permissions in the system. So normally what we do is we just go and enable everything, whatever we see.
Okay.
So first thing what we need is related to recruiting. It's better you can have all the permissions. Basically, you need all these things: user login, web profile. These things will be given in super implementation guide, which are things to be enabled. See here, role-based permission for recruiting. Okay. So let me go one by one. So this is a user permission, not an admin permission. This is just a user permission. Okay. If I scroll down, I can see for recruiting permission here. Basically, since you are a super admin, you need to enable everything. You can just go ahead and enable everything, whatever you see, because most of the configuration you are doing. Okay. Make sure you disable these three because it actually says as hide. So since you need all this access, you have to disable this. You don't want to be hide, right? You want all these things. Okay.
Yes.
Normally we make this mistake, so just make sure you select that, unselect it, and then MDF recruiting permissions. Here also, wherever you see recruiting, you just enable everything related to recruiting so that you don't miss anything in the system as a super admin. Okay.
Okay.
So since the user access you already given everything, now I will go to admin permission. So this is system access. Okay, inside recruiting, what are things I need to see? How to set up an employee program. Since I'm an admin, I want all these things. But just see, if you see the names, right, you can figure out what exactly it is. Manage recruiting, manage duplicates. So you're doing the admin part. You have the option for manage offer letter templates, manage onboarding templates. So these are all system permissions. SuccessFactors RBV permissions. Okay, manage job requisition, enable these things. So I'm going to give this and create a super admin role. Okay, and I'm going to click on save changes. So once we create a role, next thing what we have to do is we have to create a group, because we need some group to be assigned, right? Just because I create a role, it's not going to work. I need to assign to some group so that it actually starts working. So what I will do is manage permission. I will create a group called as super admin. Okay. So I'm adding myself as a I'm adding myself to this group. So I'm going to click on save. Now what I did, first thing is I enabled recruiting from provisioning, right? Second thing what I did, I created super admin from provisioning. Okay. Third thing what I will do is I need to work on RBP. So since I've already given the super admin, since I've logged in as a super admin, so I'll be able to view the RBP roles and groups. So I'll be creating role for myself, which is super admin role, so that I can configure everything. Okay. And in order to work this, I need to assign this role somewhere, right? So for that, I'll be using a group. I'll be creating a group and I'm adding myself to that group so that I have access for all those things. Okay. So till now you are clear what we did, what we are going to do.
Yes, I'm following you because I do the same for
you
performance.
Do the same thing. So next step, what I'm going to do is I created role and group. Second thing, second thing, what more important thing is, so once we give the permission to this, I can come to
have you assigned the group to the role?
Sorry?
I didn't see, sorry, maybe I was distracted for a little when you assign the group for the role. The group to the role.
That remains the same. So.
No, but in roles that you assign that group that you created. Okay, cool.
I think I'm not. I didn't assign it. Just move to next step. The process is same.
The groups for recruitment. Sorry. Oh, what you're looking for?
I'm actually looking for that group which I created. I'm not sure why it is showing all of a sudden.
But the permission groups or?
Yes, man.
Or recruiting groups?
No, we are just a permission group.
Is below employee groups? Is no up?
Oh yeah,
up.
sorry.
No. Type my permission groups, and maybe you can go there. A group.
So it's similar like to have done it before. So we just going to create this group, and then we go to role and assign this group. Okay, the group which I have created, I'm just going to assign this. It's just similar to how we use for other modules. It's just the same part. Okay. So once this is done, so what we have done, we have enabled recruiting from provisioning. We created super admin. We gave first name, last name, and all things, and then we created a role for myself and assigned a group for myself. Okay. Second thing is, similarly, if you want to create now itself, you can create now itself. You are going to create RBP for hiring manager, recruiter. This is general scenario I'm talking about. If your company depends upon their client requirements, so that's what depends upon workbook what they have given, what your information the client wants. They might call it in a different name, like client manager for hiring manager or hiring manager, or else probably they don't want the hiring manager itself to do this, but probably it's somebody else, maybe some supervisor, or it's just a HR person who must be doing. So we can HR manager who might be doing it. So depending upon client requirement, we are going to create a RBP for them. Or it could be coordinator also. Anything depends upon how the hierarchy of the company works. Okay. This information which you'll be gathering on the workbook gathering. So based on the requirement, we have to just go and create the RBP. So what are things I need to create for respective roles that you have to decide based on the client requirement. For instance,
based on the workbook.
Based on the workbook. Yes, right. So for instance, there for recruiter, they want the administrative permission also. For in that case, what you want to do is you're going to provide administrative permission also for the recruiter. If you want the recruiter to be or manage all these things, you can give it, or else if you don't want it, they will not give it. If they have some HR manager who manages all these things, you can give for them. So it depends upon each client requirement and what exactly is. For example, sourcer, he just needs to do the sourcing part, right? He just identifies the candidate and he adds to the requisition. So he doesn't need all these permissions for him. So why he will go and do the email triggers and division of these things, reassigning requisition? So he doesn't want that permission. So we can restrict it based on the client requirement. Okay. So basically what we have is you have user permissions and admin permissions. Based on the requirement, we want to create a RBP for the different teams inside the company. So the next thing what I would do is, it's always better to if you have this information, you can just copy paste it. Here you have to keep coming and going. I mean, this page you'll be visiting frequently, but whatever things you feel like you should be enabled, you can enable it. Okay, and also you will be capturing these things in the workbook also. Okay, so we'll be coming back to this page. So before we start all these things, right? So the first thing what you need is templates. Okay, so as I said, even after all these permissions, if you come to recruiting and click on this, you won't be able to see anything. Whatever is there here, this will be totally blank. You cannot see anything. Even you won't be able to see this interview central marketing. Nothing will be visible. Okay, it will be just as recruiting, and it will be totally blank space. So the reason for that is there is no templates present in the system. So when you are getting a blank instance, right, from the client,
only if it's a new client, yeah.
So everything will be blank. Right? Whenever you are getting any instance from the client, it will be totally blank. So you won't be saving any templates within the system. Okay. So before we start working into the system, we need to, first thing what we have to do is we have to create a talent pipeline. Because if there is no talent pipeline in the system, you cannot import your XMLs.
Okay.
Okay.